We have a lot to get to today. Saudi Arabia is in a state of panic as their oil infrastructure just took several massive hits, shutting down production of 7 million barrels per day, but oil prices are still down somehow. The United States and the Islamic Republic are continuing to negotiate and talk indirectly, with the foreign ministry of the Islamic Republic making some threats as the US continues its blockade and the secret shuttling of ships throughout the night. There's important Russia-Ukraine news to get into, as well as tied into Iran, as well as the anticipation of Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to the White House, which is happening as we speak. With all of that, we will deliver our analysis of the continued collapse of the Islamic Republic through our insider messages and internal state media pieces that we have for you guys, as that is where you might find the greatest value. With that, let's go straight into Saudi Arabia, which is suffering quite heavily. I'm not quite sure why a country like today Saudi Arabia has seen some massive hits across its country, even from the east and west, so both sides. And if you can take a look here on the map right before we get in, there's a pipeline that goes from here to here. Interesting. The pipeline that goes and bypasses the Strait of Hormuz is being targeted by the Houthis, and not only the Houthis. So we'll get into that in just a second. With the biggest piece of news, it seems like the largest Saudi oil refinery has been struck. This is Saudi Aramco's Abqaiq refinery. It's been struck by drones and it's pretty much completely on fire. This produces about 5 to 7% of global oil supply. It's about 7 million barrels per day is what you're looking at in that picture as well. And if you look at the other side of the coast, so that was right here. You guys can see it's right next to Bahrain. It's on the coast of the Persian Gulf. It's right there. Produces about 5% of the world's oil in that tiny little spot. Now, if we go in a straight pipeline, or rather, go all the way to the coast into Yanbu, we also see the Houthis have struck another oil refinery, and actually on the King Fahd highway, you can see the black smoke burning from the fuel storage tanks. This has thrown Saudi Arabia into a massive panic because, as we just said, that's 7 million barrels per day that they just shut down themselves because of risk of further destruction. The Houthis have claimed responsibility, but keep in mind, they're actually really far away from this location here. So that's right there near Bahrain, and the Houthis are all the way down over here. So did they really manage to get a rocket or a missile or a drone all the way over here? Or, how Saudi Arabia believes, is it IRGC-backed militias in the south of Iraq? That's what they're claiming it is. Who really knows? The Iraqis have come out. The Iraqi Islamic resistance claimed it was not them in their usual cowardly fashion. But the very first thing, Armin, guess what the very first thing that Saudi Arabia did in response to this? Right after they shut off their production, who do you think they called?
DC? Trump?
It's a little telling that they called Qatar.
Why?
The first phone call, I don't know.
Oh my God, they're trying to beg the Islamic Republic to stop. That's why, right?
They talked to Qatar to ask Qatar to tell some certain terrorist militias, or perhaps even the state sponsor of terror, to halt their attacks.
Cowards.
And Armin, can you explain, why a country like Saudi Arabia, which is, one of the richest countries in the world, has not managed to make anything of itself in significance? I mean, what is the petrodollar? How does that work?
Well, first of all, that first question, the first reason why they can't is they're like a trust fund kid. They have money gushing out of the ground, so they never learn to make anything from themselves because they just throw money at stuff. Like do like fix. They just think like everything. Every time there's a problem, they just throw money at it, and hopefully they're wishing something happens. But they don't have basically zero management skills themselves. They haven't learned how to build anything, and that's why they're so incompetent. I guess that's the reason, right? When you have, you know, it's 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 true. Lack of resources makes you creative and resourceful. Too much
Yeah,
resources means that you're not going to learn anything. That's what it
like
happened.
Ukraine.
Right, exactly. Yeah. By the way, we
So
predicted this, Ali, because we said that the Islamic Republic hasn't, the next, remember you asked me, what are some of the cards that the Islamic Republic has to play, right? The next card that
yes,
it has to play, right? We looked at the cards that it had and are less influential right now. The main card that I mentioned that it has that hasn't yet played yet. I mean, it has hit some oil for infrastructure here and there, but the main card that the Islamic Republic has that hasn't played yet is heavy focus on hitting infrastructure because it's so vulnerable and it's so easy, and the consequences are devastating. The All of the infrastructure, oil infrastructure, is just sitting there, and it doesn't take that much to be able to hit them. You don't need to have the best missiles or drones to be able to cause huge financial devastations. Um, to me, this does suggest that the Islamic Republic is predicting something big is about to happen, because this is a card that you're not going to play unless you're trying to deter something huge, right? So to me, because they could have done this before and they didn't. The reason why they're doing it now is because Prime Minister Netanyahu is in Washington, D.C., and I think the Islamic Republic is thinking something big is about to happen. So they're
yeah,
trying to demonstrate their deterrence capability in the best way they can. They say we could do more of this. They want Saudi Arabia and the Qataris and the Emiratis to use whatever lobby power they have on Washington D.C. to make them stop, and everybody else that cares about oil prices to put whatever lobby power and whatever leverage they have on Washington D.C. They know BB is in the White House, is with President Trump right now. They think like the Islamic Republic thinks something huge is about to happen, and they're trying to
correct,
give a bit of a taste of what they can do. That's what's happening here.
correct. So Geneva is actually asking, do these sites have air defense systems? No, largely no. The air defense systems cover a specific area, and Saudi has chosen not to protect them.
What? No, I
These
mean,
important oil
you can't
refineries.
protect. I mean, air defense can't just protect that all area, right? Like you have air
Yeah,
defense over a military base. Like zoom
specific.
out a bit. Yeah, like you have air defense over your military base. You have air defense over some strategic areas. But look at like zoom out all the way. Like the oil infrastructure is all over the place. Like what are you gonna do? Like put a Patriot system and an Iron Dome in every corner? That doesn't exist. So this is why
Yeah,
this is so vulnerable. Like that's a huge area. How could you protect all of that? Guys, the reason
yeah,
why Israel's Iron Dome works is because Israel is small, but you cannot just have like an Iron Dome. Like, I mean, Israel doesn't even have one, but like you can't have a defense system that protects all your oil infrastructure,
right.
right?
Yeah. The air defense systems cover a specific radius, and they're very precious and they're hard to come by, especially nowadays. It's hard to cover a country that size. As Armin's saying, you got oil infrastructure on the west, on the east, on the west, everywhere in between. It's quite difficult. I actually had a important thing to bring up about Saudi Arabia and the Houthis, and I want to see what you guys thought about this as well. So, for those of you who don't know, the Houthis are a terrorist organization that operate out of Yemen, primarily out of this area right here. And the Houthis were almost destroyed about a year ago by the United States of America and the UK in March 2025. Now, keep in mind, they're a threat against Saudi Arabia the most. And were they kept alive on purpose? The Houthis got trimmed down. They ate over 1,000 strikes. They had most of their members killed, most of their weapons destroyed, and they weren't completely wiped out by the US in 2025. And I looked at that and I thought about something. The Houthis got trimmed down when Saudi was going towards China at the time, but they weren't wiped out. Saudi and China were pretty close. They were talking a lot. And is it possible that the Houthis will continue to be a threat to Saudi Arabia as long as they do not join the Abraham Accords? The US might choose not to destroy them and allow them to operate at some extent there as long as Saudi Arabia does not join the Abraham Accords. Now that Saudi Arabia is going more towards the US, it does seem like the US and Saudi have actually spoken multiple times about dealing with the Houthis, and they're even getting lured in with a nuclear deal that Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, is trying to sign with Donald Trump. So, Armin, do you think that the Houthis are a good little pawn here for the United States, just a little actor that pushes Saudi Arabia towards the US instead of China?
Well, I mean, they're more negative than positive, but that is a side benefit of them, at least for now, right?
Yeah, definitely a benefit.
Like while you have them, you might as well take advantage of them as a threat. Why not, right?
Absolutely. So that's why I think that the Houthis are still there.
Also, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're just keeping them alive for that purpose. I do, because remember, these missiles were not. These missiles were not thrown by the Houthis. The Houthis are claiming credit, but they came from Iraq. Didn't they came from Iraq?
So the Saudis are claiming some of them that hit the east portion of their oil came from Iraq. The Iraqi militias came out and said it wasn't us.
So I think this could be the Islamic Republic and just giving the credit to the Houthis just to make people fear.
Can be.
Yeah.
Can be. So here's the thing. Here's what's the result of it is that the Chinese and Russian ships through the Bab el-Mandeb can actually still go through. I'll show you guys where that is. It's right here, this tiny little area. The Chinese and Russians go through, but it looks like the US, UK, and Saudi ships are being targeted or struck. Now, we've still had a lot of ships go through, but that's been halted. So yesterday was actually the lowest recorded traffic in the Bab el-Mandeb. It was 11 ships. 7 of those were oil tankers and 4 were cargo. These guys, these are big ships, but that was a pretty big hit to the security in the area. And we've seen actually insurance prices in the area as a whole jump up massively. So that's one strait over here. If we go look at the other side, we can see that the Strait of Hormuz, the insurance over here has jumped up. And I know many of you guys hate the word insurance. I do too. Maybe you're on it, maybe you're not. Strait of Hormuz insurance jumps to 9%. And you might be wondering, Ali, what does 9% insurance mean? It means everything that you just shipped, take 9% out. The entire value of your ship, 9% of your ship's value is paid as insurance now. That is
what?
Millions and billions.
That's not going to be profitable.
It's not. 9% of your stuff is just gone out the window. Straight off.
Yeah, that trade is not going to be possible. That trade is not going to be profitable. 9% of everything I own. Yeah, like no.
And what we see is that because capitalism, these insurance companies never lower their rates unless their arms twisted behind their back. So this is why ship traffic, even after this entire conflict is over, will never return back to normal. It will be too high of a cost for these companies to operate there unless they are offered something to lower their prices. And on a side note, Armin, just looking at the Middle East as a whole here, one thing that I believe is that just as the Houthis are a massive threat against Saudi Arabia, if we look over in Iraq, these Hashd al-Shabi militias are also the biggest threat to the Iranian people at the moment, in my opinion. I think until we see the Hashd al-Shabi, the PMF, the Popular Mobilization Front in Iraq, the terrorist militia backed by the IRGC, until they're dealt with, which the deadline is September 30th. So we're actually only a month away, roughly. Sorry, 2 months away exactly. Until that happens and they're not able to come into Iran to suppress the Iranian people, I think we're going to be waiting on that final call from Prince Reza Pahlavi. That's one of the triggers, in my opinion. So, as a result of the strikes, we also saw that Prime Minister Al Zaidi will be visiting Saudi Arabia immediately in 3 days to talk to Saudi Arabia about these militias and perhaps even some economic agreements. He's been squeezed on all fronts uh, by the Islamic Republic, by the Saudis. If we can look, Iraq sits pretty much in the middle of absolutely everything and anything in the Middle East: Syria, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Turkey, and they're largely caught in between no matter what. One little quick side note, if you guys are interested about the uprising of the Iranian people, one thing that greatly helped us is this targeting and pulling of Iraq over to the axis of, the orbit of the United States. So destroying the PMF, as I just said, is a key trigger. The hour Al Zaidi signed 19 agreements with the United States in the Oval Office, Pete Hegseth grabbed Al Zaidi, chucked him in a black SUV, took him straight to the Pentagon, and said, look, this is how we're going to discuss removing the militia proxies in Iraq. Hegseth came and tweeted about it. So huge little, isn't that a little like signal to Saudi Arabia? Hey, Iraq just signed all these agreements with us. They're going to help us out, money and this and that. We're going to deal with their militia problem. Saudi Arabia, you should do the same if you want the Houthis gone.
Wait, who's going to deal with their militia problem?
The United States. So what we saw, I've been keeping a really close eye on Iraq to see what they're doing with these militias. So over the past 4 nights, they attacked the PMF, they attacked Qatar, Hezbollah, and other IRGC. They got ambushed. They got casualties. They got forced back from the terrorists.
So you're saying that given that Iraqi prime minister is working so close with, so U.S. military support is going to be conditional. You're not going to be like freeloaders anymore.
Absolutely.
Right? You give us trade, you give us business, we'll bomb some terrorists for you. So Saudi Arabia, take a look at what the services that we're offering for Iraq. It's not free of charge anymore. This is what we want from you, and we'll bomb some Houthis. We'll bomb some Houthis for you, better than anyone else could. But here's the list of our wants before we do that. Like the days that we could just provide you free security services are over, right?
The day of the petrodollar is also over. Then the world is shifting more towards electricity and nuclear than they are to oil because of the age of AI coming around the corner. Oil is becoming less important, electricity more important.
AI-backed dollar.
AI, crypto, yeah, like token, crypto, AI.
A lot of chips, right? International trade in chips is in USD. Tech is US. When you say crypto, USDT. Stable coins in general. Ali, have you heard of many stable coins being traded between people that is a euro? Like, have you heard that like that? Have you? Most stable coins are backed by the US dollars. So the US dollar is not backed by petrol anymore. It's backed by so many different things. So we don't need your dirty oil.
Right. And so the US is just trying to maintain its competitive advantage.
Right.
Here's the thing. Let me look back at my note here. So when Hegseth took Al Zaidi to the Pentagon and told him, hey, we're going to deal with your militia problem together by September 30th. We want you guys to go in first and see if you can remove them. Al Zaidi tried that this past week. Looks like the Iraqi security forces couldn't handle them. They got pushed back. They got ambushed. And that proves a massive, the quiet part out loud, which is the Iraqis cannot deal with these terrorists on their own. Now, they've greatly weakened them. People don't realize this, but when the politicians we saw get arrested in Iraq, you guys remember the pictures of the gold and the cash and all the money laid out? Guys, why do we need cash and gold? What's the benefit of having hard cash in front of you? What is it used for? What are these corrupt politicians using cash for? There's no bank records. There's no ties. You can't trace it, right? It's untraceable. So you use it for bribes. use it for smuggling, for the paying of the terrorist militias. And Al Zaidi went against a big source of income for these terrorist militias and a huge blow to the IRGC in that area as well. So at the same time, he knocked out a large portion of corruption in Iraq, came to the US, said, "Hey, I did all this. Now I need your help to finish off the last step." And then as soon as he secured the US's backing, he declared September 30th is your deadline. All terrorists in Iraq, surrender your weapons, or we're going to come and destroy you. And Hegseth was like, yeah, with, I'm not surprised Hegseth wants to just go ham on anything. That is the general know about of that. And I think I studied that for about 4 hours last night until 2 a.m., double checking
Wow.
everything and connecting everything there. Because you go in a little rabbit hole and you're just like, oh my God, that's so like, am I discovering something that I'm like, I love learning that part. So it's not looking good for shipping, is it? Shipping is taking a huge downturn. Saudi just cut oil by 7 billion or 7 million barrels per day. Oil dropped down into the 80s. Oil dropped down into the 80s. It was $100 on Thursday. And we told you guys, it's $100. Something has to happen. Something did happen. They started talking. So, going back into the map here so you guys can take a look at what's going on. The Bahraini government, some people thought they wouldn't catch on to this, but the Bahraini government is actually going to be holding a joint military exercise with unknown armed forces. So they said it's going to be other Gulf countries. They didn't say which. That's going to be happening
Persian Gulf.
tomorrow for the rest of the week. Persian Gulf countries. They said some of them are going to be helping us. That is the first time Bahrain's done that. So why are they doing it right now of all times? Suspicious times. It's really interesting. And that is the last Gulf.
You think they're working? Bahrain is part of the Abrahamic Accord.
Yeah. And Bahrain actually hosted, Bahrain hosted 3 or 4 weeks ago, they hosted Brad Cooper. They hosted all the leaders of the Persian Gulf country militaries, and they all had a conference in downtown Manama. And we don't know exactly what came of that, but we're seeing after that, the Persian Gulf countries joined in. The Kuwait, Bahrain, UAE actually started joining in on the attacks. Again, all a result of the Islamic Republic targeting these countries. If they didn't do it, these countries wouldn't be pushed towards the United States. And as a result, China has been telling the Islamic Republic, cool it down. You're being a little too violent and stop hitting Saudi because we want Saudi to be on our side. And I don't know what the Islamic Republic responded to them because I don't think it worked. Today they struck again. So we saw the Arab oil in Saudi Arabia get hit once again. Oman. Little Oman. Go down to Muscat here. The Omanis are our new Pakistan. They're our new negotiators here.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.